Beneath the soft hum of civilization's machinery and the rhythmic tick of centuries unfolding, there has always existed a subtle, almost imperceptible pulse, like the beat of an ancient heart buried within ourselves, waiting to be awakened. You may have felt it in quiet moments, when the noise of the world dulls and something older, more enigmatic whispers beneath the surface of your awareness. That whisper, persistent and buried, is not merely intuition or imagination. It is your DNA calling you home, not just to your biological heritage, but to something vast, sacred, and concealed. Our genetic code has long been discussed in the cold language of science: helixes, base pairs, replication. But the truth hidden in plain sight is that this intricate spiral is far more than molecular scaffolding. It is a divine script, a living glyph inscribed by consciousness itself. For generations, this truth has been fragmented, repressed, deliberately obscured by those who sought to keep power centralized to ensure that the masses never discovered the vast temple within. The God Code, called divine potential, encoded sovereignty or light-made flesh, resides within every human being, waiting not to be added, but remembered. It has never been missing. It has only been hidden, shielded by layers of distraction, dogma, and systemic forgetfulness. To begin understanding this truth is not a journey of addition, but one of peeling back veils. Imagine a grand cathedral built within you, one whose architecture you've been taught to ignore, even fear. Imagine that every strand of your DNA is not merely a biological record, but a harmonic chord, part of a cosmic symphony connecting you not only to your ancestors, but to the very architecture of stars, to memories stored in light. It may sound poetic, perhaps even fanciful, but ask yourself, why does such an idea feel familiar? Why do certain words resonate, not merely intellectually, but viscerally, like keys unlocking doors you didn't know existed? Science has mapped the genome, yet in doing so, it has often ignored the music behind the map, the so-called junk DNA. A term carelessly tossed about for decades, is not garbage to be discarded, but a silent archive, a multidimensional library holding information beyond three-dimensional comprehension. It speaks in symbols, in archetypes, in patterns older than language. In these silent sequences lie the codes of awakening, and it is no coincidence that throughout history, the mystics, sages, and seekers of countless traditions spoke of divine fire, latent power, the serpent energy coiled at the base of the spine. These were metaphors not for fantasy, but for something cellular, real, and profoundly transformative. The suppression of this truth has not been orchestrated by any one group alone, but by the inertia of a system built on externalization. When a person forgets that divinity lives within, they search endlessly outside of themselves for validation, for saviors, for structures to give them meaning. And so, the world became a maze of institutions and authorities, each a mirror distorting the truth rather than reflecting it. Meanwhile, the true temple, the DNA of a human spirit, sat quietly, waiting for the right frequency to awaken it. There is something deeply subversive about the idea that within your very being lies a capacity for illumination, for communion with the all, for sovereignty unshackled by permission. The God Code is not about becoming superhuman. It is about becoming wholly human, reintegrated, radiant with remembrance. And herein lies a great paradox. The journey forward is also a journey backward, a spiral that brings you to the very place you started, only now with eyes open. This text, this reflection, this offering, is not a revelation in itself, but a key. It seeks not to convince but to stir, to reawaken the subtle music of recognition within you. You are not merely the sum of atoms or the byproduct of genetic inheritance. You are an encoded fractal of source, a luminous fingerprint of the cosmos, and your DNA is not a relative evolution. It is a sacred script, and you are both the reader and the scribe. As we begin to explore this truth more deeply, we will unweave the ancient myths entangled in ourselves and trace the golden thread that leads from illusion to insight, from bondage to brilliance. We will touch the edges of forgotten knowledge and peer into symbolic languages buried not in books, but in blood and breath. To step into the realm of this hidden truth about your DNA is to journey into the interplay of light and shadow that has shaped not only your body, but your very experience of existence. At its core, the awakening of what's called the God Code reveals that DNA is more than the blueprint of flesh. It is a living map, a cosmic language encoded in your cells, vibrating with ancient frequencies that ripple through time and space. It is a bridge between the physical and the divine, the mundane and the miraculous, the seen and the unseen. This bridge invites you to awaken from a long, imposed slumber and remember the fullness of your potential. One of the fundamental pillars in this revelation is the idea that much of what we have accepted as reality, our histories, our identities, even our limitations, has been constructed by layers of illusion. These are not merely social constructs or psychological defenses, but are woven deeply into the fabric of collective consciousness, encoded within our very DNA as dormant programs that keep the human spirit asleep. This grand design, deliberately crafted and maintained, has kept billions tethered to a version of reality that feels confining, fragmented, and separate from the infinite. Yet, beneath these layers of collective conditioning lies a pattern far grander, a pattern of unity and interconnectedness. The DNA within you does not exist in isolation, but hums with the resonance of the cosmos, mirroring universal laws and cycles. It is like a cosmic fractal, where each twist of the double helix reflects the spiraling galaxies above, and the flow of energy within mirrors the currents that weave through all life. To activate the God code is to align your internal rhythm with this vast universal symphony, to tune yourself to a frequency where dormant potentials awaken. Central to this awakening is the understanding that your DNA contains multidimensional information, transcending the physical strands of nucleotides. This includes archetypal knowledge, ancient wisdom encoded not in words, but in energetic patterns that hold the keys to transformation, healing, and expanded consciousness. When these codes are activated, they can initiate a profound recalibration of the body, mind, and spirit, dissolving the boundaries between self and other, past and present, finite and infinite. The process of activation is less about acquiring something new and more about clearing away the static, disentangling from the layers of trauma, fear, and false narratives that have obscured your true nature. This involves a journey inward, a willingness to confront shadows and embrace light, to listen to the silent language of your cells and allow them to remember what was always there. It is a reclaiming of sovereignty over your own being, a reclaiming of the divine spark that has been eclipsed by external forces for centuries. Embedded in this journey is a recognition that awakening the God code is not merely a personal quest, but a collective imperative. As more individuals reconnect with this hidden blueprint, a ripple effect emerges, shifting the consciousness of humanity itself. This awakening catalyzes a transformation in how we relate to ourselves, each other, and the earth, moving from separation and scarcity toward unity and abundance, from fragmentation to wholeness. Within these core themes also lies a sacred interplay between science and spirituality, often seen as opposing realms, but in truth two languages describing the same profound mystery. Modern genetics, when viewed through the lens of ancient wisdom, reveals not a cold mechanistic system, but a vibrant matrix of life and consciousness. The so-called junk DNA becomes a metaphor for forgotten divinity, a repository of light and potential waiting to be stirred awake. The scientists of old sought to decode this script, but the deeper meanings eluded them because the keys were not purely physical. They were energetic, symbolic, and profoundly experiential. The God code, then, is both a map and a message. It invites us to reclaim our birthright as co-creators in this universe, to awaken the dormant frequencies within our genetic makeup that link us directly to cosmic intelligence. It challenges the accepted narrative of human limitation and offers instead a vision of boundless possibility, a reminder that within the spiral of your DNA lies the echo of creation itself, waiting for your conscious touch to ignite it. In this awakening, time itself begins to shift. Linear perception gives way to cyclical and fractal understandings. Past, present, and future fold into one another as the God code activates pathways of remembrance that transcend earthly constraints. The ancestral voices woven into your DNA call out, not just from history, but from futures yet to be realized, beckoning you to step into your role as an alchemist of your own destiny. Imagine a vast library, ancient beyond reckoning, suspended in the cosmic ether, a repository of stories not written on paper but encoded in light and shadow, folded delicately within the spirals of your DNA. This library holds the symbolic narratives that transcend language and culture, stories whispered by the stars and carried in the breath of the wind. These are not mere myths or legends, but living allegories, reflections of profound truths hidden beneath the surface of our everyday lives, waiting patiently to be awakened within you. Consider the serpent, a timeless emblem winding through the scrolls of history and the corridors of spiritual symbolism. In many traditions, the serpent is the keeper of sacred knowledge, the embodiment of transformation and rebirth. It coils at the base of the spine, sleeping beneath layers of forgetfulness, guarding the gateway to your God code. To awaken this serpent is to kindle the inner fire, to ignite Kundalini energy that travels upward through the chakras, illuminating the path from earthly consciousness to divine union. This awakening is both a descent into the depths of self and a rise into the heights of cosmic awareness. The serpent's dance is a metaphor for the spiraling journey of DNA activation, an intertwining of shadow and light, death and rebirth, the known and the unknown. Another symbolic narrative unfolds through the image of the labyrinth. Much like the DNA helix, the labyrinth is a spiral path, seemingly complex and convoluted, yet leading inexorably toward a center, toward a place of profound stillness and revelation. Walking the labyrinth is an ancient ritual, an invitation to journey inward through the twists and turns of illusion and conditioning. It is here at the heart of the labyrinth where the God code resides, a core of radiant potential obscured by the entanglements of time, trauma, and inherited stories. The labyrinth reminds us that the path to awakening is not linear but cyclical, a weaving dance of surrender and discovery. Each step brings us closer to remembering the sacred architecture within. In the cosmic tapestry of symbolic narratives, the image of the phoenix rises resplendent. The phoenix's fiery death and rebirth echo the alchemical process encoded within your DNA. The burning away of old patterns, fears, and limitations, only to emerge renewed, luminous, and whole. This myth is not simply about destruction, but about transformation, the sacred fire that refines and reveals the gold hidden beneath the dross. Activation of the God code involves embracing this inner fire, trusting that the ashes of the old self are the fertile soil from which a new, awakened self will emerge. Each of these symbols, serpent, labyrinth, phoenix, intertwines with the strands of your DNA, offering a language beyond words, a map of the inner cosmos that invites you to decode its mysteries. They are mirrors held up to your soul, reflecting the journey of awakening encoded within your very cells. These narratives also remind us that this journey is not solitary, but deeply connected to the cycles of nature and the rhythms of the universe. The DNA within you is not static. It is alive and responsive, a dynamic interplay of energy that pulses with the heartbeat of the earth and the stars. Through these stories, the God code reveals itself as a living myth, an ancient wisdom that transcends time and space. It is a call to remember that you are not merely a body moving through time, but a cosmic being dancing with eternal, a vessel of divine light wrapped in flesh. The awakening of this code is a sacred rite of passage, a hero's journey inward where you confront the shadows, reclaim your power, and emerge as a radiant expression of cosmic intelligence. In this symbolic realm, the activation of your God code is like tuning a forgotten instrument, once silent and neglected, now capable of singing the harmonies of spheres. It is a rediscovery of a sacred geometry encoded in your DNA, the sacred mathematics of creation, the language of light that speaks to the deepest parts of your being. This awakening is an invitation to dissolve the boundaries between self and other, to remember that you are both the storyteller and the story, the question and the answer, the seeker and the sought. To awaken the God code nestled within your DNA is not merely a mystical or symbolic gesture. It is an invitation to embody transformation in the tangible rhythm of daily life. The sacred codes etched in your cells ripple outward, reshaping how you engage with yourself, others, and the world around you. This is a shift from abstract knowledge to living wisdom, where the cosmic and the concrete merge into one flowing dance. Begin by sensing your own body as a sacred vessel, a temple that holds the mystery of the universe within its very cells. This recognition transforms everyday actions, breathing, walking, eating, into acts of reverence. You begin to understand that every breath is a communion with the cosmos, every heartbeat a drumbeat of creation echoing through time. This subtle awareness anchors the awakening process, rooting the divine within the earthiness of your experience rather than keeping it as distant, ethereal idealism. As this inner tuning occurs, a natural unfolding happens. Your perceptions shift, revealing layers of reality previously unseen. Patterns of thought that once confined you begin to loosen, like ancient vines falling away to reveal fresh growth beneath. The DNA activation acts like a gentle alchemist, transmuting old fears, doubts, and limitations into new possibilities and potentials. This process is not always linear or easy. It often stirs shadows, unearths buried memories, and invites you to navigate the labyrinth of your inner world with courage and compassion. At the same time, relationships evolve. The awakening God code does not isolate but interconnects. You start to notice that the invisible threads weaving through human experience are not mere coincidence, but the reflection of a shared awakening. Conversations deepen, empathy expands, and the resonance of truth vibrates in moments of connection. As you activate the divine blueprint within, you also awaken to the sacred presence in others, recognizing the same spark that illuminates your own being. In this light, challenges become catalysts rather than obstacles. Situations that once seemed harsh or limiting take on new meanings. They are mirrors held up by the universe, reflections designed to activate deeper layers of your God code. You learn to navigate life with fluid grace, attuned to the unseen currents guiding your path. This does not imply perfection or constant bliss, but profound trust in the unfolding mystery and a willingness to dance with the unknown. Moreover, the activation reverberates beyond the personal sphere, influencing your relationship with the natural world and the collective. You come to sense the intelligence embedded in the earth itself, a living organism pulsating with consciousness that harmonizes with your own awakened DNA. This renewed bond inspires stewardship and reverence, igniting a call to live in alignment with the planet's rhythms rather than against them. It is a sacred partnership, a reciprocal dance where healing flows in both directions. On a broader scale, this awakening challenges prevailing paradigms in science, medicine, and spirituality. It invites a holistic understanding of health, not as mere absence of disease, but as vibrant integration of body, mind, and spirit energized by the light encoded in your DNA. It encourages exploration of alternative healing modalities that recognize energetic balance, consciousness, and the power of intention. The God Code activation offers a paradigm shift, where the boundary between physical and metaphysical dissolves and healing becomes a dynamic co-creation. Practically, this means embracing practices that nurture your inner landscape. Meditation, breathwork, sound, movement, and deep communion with nature become gateways to igniting the dormant codes within. It is a call to slow down, listen deeply, and honor the subtle signals your body and soul send. These moments of attunement allow the DNA's sacred language to unfold, opening pathways to creativity, intuition, and higher states of awareness. Ultimately, activating your God code transforms existence into a sacred art. Life ceases to be a series of random events or external pursuits and becomes a sacred journey of co-creation with the universe. The hidden truth once veiled for centuries steps forward, revealing that you are not a passive observer, but an active participant in the unfolding cosmic drama. With each conscious breath, you weave light into your cells, sculpting a future where divine potential flourishes freely. As the final threads of this exploration weave together, you stand at the threshold of profound possibility, poised between the world as it has been presented to you and the luminous horizon of what you can become. The truth that has been hidden about your DNA for centuries is not merely a secret to be uncovered. It is a living invitation to remember who you truly are. This invitation is neither distant nor abstract, but immediate, vibrating in every cell, every breath, every heartbeat. To activate your God code is to step into a sacred reclamation of self, a journey not becoming someone else, but of uncovering the radiant being you have always been beneath the layers of forgetfulness and constraint. It is a return to a divine architecture encoded in your very essence, a symphony of light and life that connects you to the cosmos, to your ancestors, and to future generations yet unborn. In this awakening, the illusion of separation dissolves, and you see yourself reflected in the vast mirror of existence, a unique expression of the infinite. This path calls for courage, for vulnerability, and for an open heart willing to traverse the labyrinth of shadow and light. It is a journey marked by cycles of death and rebirth, by surrender and empowerment, where each challenge becomes a threshold to deeper understanding and greater wholeness. Yet, within this sacred dance, you discover a profound truth. The power to transform your reality lies not outside you, but within the sacred spiral of your DNA. the God code waiting to be remembered. The awakening of this code is a radical act of liberation in a world shaped by forces seeking to keep the divine spark dimmed. It is an act of reclaiming your sovereignty and honoring the sacred covenant between your soul and the universe. When you activate this inner blueprint, you align with the rhythm of creation itself, becoming a living conduit with a flow of cosmic intelligence, love, and healing. As you embody this transformation, you become part of a greater tapestry, a collective awakening where the light within each individual joins to illuminate the world. This is a dawning of a new era, one where the ancient wisdom encoded in our DNA ignites a renaissance of consciousness, compassion, and creativity. It is a call to awaken not only for your own sake, but for the healing and evolution of all life on Earth. So now, as you close this chapter and carry its resonance forward, remember that the God Code is not a distant dream, but a living reality within you. It invites you to listen deeply, to honor your inner knowing, and to step boldly into the sacred role you were born to play. The divine spark flickers gently within your cells, waiting for your conscious touch to ignite it into a blazing light. Rise into this truth. Activate your God Code now, not as a future possibility, but as a present reality. You are a cosmic being cloaked in flesh, a radiant fractal of the divine, and the universe itself waits with bated breath for you to remember. May your journey be luminous, your awakening boundless, and your life a testament to the infinite light encoded within.